My corporate cards just stopped working. Lillian, something's wrong. What did you do? My husband's voice was shaking on the phone from a Vegas hotel room, and for the first time in our 8-year marriage, I smiled. Because the reason his cards were declined, his email locked, and federal agents were tearing apart his office was me. The clueless little wife he'd spent years lying to had just turned his entire double life into a federal case. And it all started with one little business trip to Palm Springs he didn't want me on. If you've ever been underestimated, lied to, or treated like you were stupid on purpose, hit that subscribe button. Drop a like and let me know in the comments if you've ever had that moment where everything finally clicks and you realize you're not the crazy one. Because in this story, justice isn't just served. It's documented, notarized, and sent certified mail to federal court. Let's dive in. My name is Lillian. I was 35, living in Scottsdale, Arizona, and if you glanced at my life from the outside, you'd probably think I was one of the lucky ones. Beautiful house in a nice neighborhood, 2 luxury cars in the driveway, a husband, Bradley, who is a regional sales director for a pharmaceutical consulting company called Nexra Labs. I work part-time as a freelance graphic designer and manage the household. We've been married for 8 years. I thought we were a solid team. Bradley traveled a lot, 3-day trips here, 4-day conferences there. Phoenix, Vegas, Palm Springs. I never questioned it. His career paid for everything, and he liked to joke that I was too creative for spreadsheets and corporate nonsense. At first, it sounded like a compliment. Over the years, it started to feel more like a cage. The shift was subtle. He started turning his phone face down, taking calls in other rooms, snapping whenever I asked simple questions about his schedule. And then came that Palm Springs trip. Absolutely not, he snapped when I suggested tagging along. This isn't a vacation, Lillian. I'll be in meetings from morning until night. You'd just be sitting alone in a hotel room, bored out of your mind. The words landed like a slap. He didn't even look up from his laptop. I remember staring at him, at the expensive watch I'd given him for his birthday gleaming on his wrist while he dismissed me like a child. I wouldn't mind, I'd said quietly. I can work on my designs, explore a little. We haven't spent much time together lately. He shoved his shirt into his suitcase, not meeting my eyes. The company doesn't pay for spouses, and frankly I need to focus on work, not worry about entertaining you. Entertaining you? That stuck. The morning he left, I watched him pack his best suits, his cologne, cufflinks, that watch. He looked more like he was going on a romantic weekend than a brutally long conference. Which hotel again? I asked, trying to sound casual. The Desert Palms Resort, he said, finally glancing up. Same as usual. Pharmaceutical conference. I'll be back Friday night. Late. Don't wait up. It was rehearsed. Too smooth. Like a line he'd said 100 times. After he left, the house felt weirdly quiet, heavy. I tried to focus on a logo project, but my eyes kept drifting to the clock, to the suitcase-sized hole in our bedroom, to the gnawing feeling in my stomach that I couldn't name yet. At some point, I stopped pretending to work and opened my laptop. I looked up Desert Palms Resort. Upscale, gorgeous, pools, conference rooms, the works. It all checked out on the surface. But my brain kept replaying that absolutely not, and the way he spoke about me like I was a bored child he had to manage. So I did something I'd never done in 8 years of marriage. I planned a surprise visit. Friday morning, I stood in front of my closet, shaking. It felt ridiculous to be nervous about seeing my own husband. I picked a sundress he liked, and packed an overnight bag with hands that wouldn't stay steady. On the 3-hour drive from Phoenix to Palm Springs, my brain ran 2 separate movies. In one, he'd smile, pull me into a hug, call me crazy in that fond way from when we first dated. We'd turn his boring work trip into a mini vacation, have dinner by the pool, reconnect. In the other, there was a door I didn't want to open. A version of him I didn't want to meet. The Desert Palms Resort shimmered under the sun, all palm trees and manicured flowers. Busy parking lot. Lots of people in lanyards and suits. Okay, I thought. Looks legit. At the front desk, a smiling woman asked how she could help. I'm meeting my husband, I said. Bradley Morrison. He's here for the Nexra Labs pharmaceutical conference. Her fingers clicked across the keyboard. Her brows pulled together.
I'm sorry, Mum.
We don't have any pharmaceutical conferences scheduled this weekend. It felt like the sound dropped out of the room. Are you sure? I forced myself to ask, he said. She checked again. No corporate events at all this weekend. But we do have a Bradley Morrison staying here. Room 237. The air suddenly felt thick, like I was trying to breathe through syrup. Could you call his room? I asked. She dialed. It rang.
And rang. And rang.
No answer, she said. You're welcome to go up and meet him there. Yeah, I said faintly. We were supposed to meet for dinner anyway. We weren't. In the elevator, my heart was pounding so hard I could see my pulse in my fingertips. I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. Room 237 was at the end of the hall. I stood there, hand hovering over the handle for a full minute. Then I knocked. No answer. I tried again. Nothing. My fingers closed around the handle out of pure instinct. It turned. The room smelled like expensive perfume and hotel air conditioning. His suitcase was open on the rack, clothes scattered everywhere. The bed was unmade. There were 2 champagne glasses on the dresser and a crumpled room service receipt on the nightstand. I picked it up. 3 dinners. 3 bottles of wine. Chocolate-covered strawberries. My hand started to shake. And then I heard it. Running water. From the bathroom. Voices, multiple voices, laughing, muffled through the door. Female voices. My legs almost gave out. That was the exact moment the old version of me died. I should have left. I know that. But I didn't. I moved on autopilot, slipping into the closet by the bathroom. The door cracked just enough for me to see into the room. I held my phone like a lifeline. My heart was slamming against my ribs, so hard I thought it might bruise. The shower shut off. The bathroom door opened. Bradley walked out first, in a white hotel robe, hair damp, looking relaxed. Satisfied in a way he hadn't looked at home in months. Behind him came 2 women. Mid-20s. Gorgeous. Matching robes barely tied, legs bare, makeup still perfect. Same time next month? The brunette asked like they were booking a recurring meeting. Absolutely. Bradley pulled out his wallet. The 15th through the 17th. Just like always. The blonde laughed softly. You know, most of our regulars don't book us for entire weekends. You must really love your business trips. My husband chuckled. What can I say? I believe in work-life balance. Regulars. Next month. Just like always. My nails dug into my palm. Your wife still doesn't suspect anything? The brunette asked, slipping cash into her purse. Lillian.
He scoffed.
She's completely clueless. Too busy with her little art projects to notice anything. As long as I say it's work, she believes it. My little art projects. 8 years of my life, reduced to domestic services and background decoration. She handles the house, doesn't ask questions, he continued. Perfect setup, really. Perfect setup. And then came the line that changed everything. Same card as usual? The brunette asked. Corporate card, he said. Nexra's very generous with their client entertainment policy. He was using his company card. For escorts. For weekends like this. Not just cheating, stealing. It hit me all at once. The trips, the secrecy, the condescension. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a system. A lifestyle. A business model. Eventually they left. Air kisses and casual goodbyes, like they'd done it 1,000 times. Bradley moved around the room like a professional crime scene cleaner. Straightening pillows, opening windows, wiping away the evidence. But this time, he wasn't fast enough. While he was in the bathroom again, I slipped out of the closet and took photos. The receipt. The room number. The rumpled bed. The champagne glasses.
Click, click, click.
Then I walked out of that hotel room, out of that resort, and into the parking lot with a strange, icy calm sitting where my heart used to be. This wasn't going to be a crying in the car moment. This was going to be a crime scene. The drive home felt shorter. Sharper. I replayed every dismissive comment, every "don't worry about it, it's just business" he'd thrown at me for years. By the time I hit our driveway, my tears had dried into something else. Strategy. Bradley wouldn't be home until late. That gave me hours. I went into the one room in our house I never touched, his office. I opened his meticulously labeled file drawers and started reading. Expense reports, corporate card statements, client entertainment that looked a lot like private dinners for four at resorts and steakhouses, spa charges,
Boutique pour chasse.
jewelry, and then invoices, executive wellness solutions,
Premier client service.
Sunshine Hospitality Consultants, all consulting charges, all thousands of dollars a month. I grabbed my phone and started photographing everything. The total, once I added it up, over $85,000 in 3 years. And that was just the obvious stuff. His computer wasn't even password protected. That's how confident he was in my cluelessness. His email was a goldmine. Messages with escort agencies, booking coordinators, detailed arrangements about weekend packages, and discretion guaranteed. One email in particular stood out. "Don't worry," a woman named Jasmine wrote. "We'll send over detailed consulting invoices that will pass any audit. Our corporate clients never have issues." They weren't just taking his money. They were actively helping him commit fraud. Then I found his secret. A budget spreadsheet. He'd literally mapped out how much he was stealing every month. Fake meals, padded travel, fictional clients. Money funneled into an account I'd never heard of. Balance, over $40,000. Payments to a gambling site. Purchases I'd never seen in our house. Regular transfers to a woman in Las Vegas named Veronica. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down. I wasn't just married to a cheater. I was married to a full-blown criminal. And if the IRS or his company ever figured this out with me still by his side, I'd go down with him. That night, when he walked in and kissed my forehead like nothing had happened, I knew I was done playing dumb. But I wasn't done playing. For the next 3 weeks, I became an actress. I smiled at him, asked about his conferences, listened to his lies like I always had. Meanwhile, I hired 2 people. A divorce attorney who specialized in fraud cases, and a private investigator who used to be a federal agent. Catherine, my attorney, was blunt. "Your husband has committed multiple felonies," she said, flipping through the evidence I'd neatly categorized into folders: adultery, corporate fraud, tax evasion. "If we move quickly, we can protect you," and hang him with his own rope. David, the PI, dug deeper. He found even more fake trips. Fake receipts. And that woman in Vegas? Veronica? She wasn't some random fling. She was his partner in a side hustle, selling confidential Nexera client data to competitors. Industrial espionage. I remember staring at David in his office as he laid it all out. "Your husband is making more money from crime than his actual job." Bradley thought I was dumb. He had no idea I was building a case solid enough to be used in training videos. The breaking point came when he announced another trip. Vegas, of course. "Just 2 nights," he said over breakfast, scrolling through his phone. "Back Wednesday." I smiled. "Be safe." He kissed the top of my head, completely unaware I'd just mentally scheduled the destruction of his entire life for Wednesday afternoon. The second his car was out of sight, I went to work. Catherine filed the divorce papers and the motions to freeze our joint assets. David prepared his reports, and I scheduled a meeting with Nexera's corporate security director. Sitting in their sleek conference room, I watched executives' faces change as I walked them through what their star regional director had been doing with their money and their data. One of them actually said, "Holy SHD." By the end of the meeting, Nexera had suspended his corporate cards, locked him out of their systems, initiated their own internal investigation, contacted federal authorities. Tuesday night, while Bradley was probably clinking glasses with Veronica, his employer was pulling every file with his name on it. Wednesday morning, at 9 a.m. Sharp, federal agents walked into my house with a warrant and started emptying his office into evidence boxes. The lead agent, Sarah Chun, shook my hand. Mrs. Morrison, your documentation is the stuff of prosecutors' dreams. By noon, the divorce was filed, the accounts were frozen, and Nexera had officially terminated Bradley. At 4 p.m.
My phone rang.
Lillian, something's wrong with my cards, he blurted. My email's not working. Nobody's answering at corporate. What's happening? I stepped out onto the back patio and let myself savor the moment. That's probably because Nexera has opened a fraud investigation, I said calmly. Silence. W, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the $85,000 you stole, the escorts you billed as consultants, the confidential data you sold. I've turned over all the evidence. You're fired. Federal agents are at our house. Oh, and I filed for divorce. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. You did this?
To me.
You did this. I corrected him. To yourself. I just stopped covering for you. He tried begging. Then he tried threatening. Then he tried love bombing. I love you. We can fix this together. I did it for us. For our lifestyle.
No, I said.
You did it for yourself while treating me like a prop. The woman who let you get away with it died in Palm Springs when she heard you call her clueless. I hung up, blocked his number, and for the first time in years, the silence in my house felt like peace. The next morning, Agent Chin called. Thought you'd like to know, she said. Your husband was just arrested in Vegas trying to flee the country with Veronica and nearly $200,000 in cash. He's being held without bail. Nexera later told me the full damage was closer to $300,000 once they finished their audit. They gave me a $25,000 reward for bringing it to light. My lawyer made sure I was cleared of all liability. The court gave me the house, the cars, and our legitimate assets. Bradley? He got a plea deal. 15 to 25 years in federal prison. Restitution.
No assets.
No career.
No reputación.
The local business paper did a feature on the case. Then a bigger outlet. Then an investigative journalist asked to interview me, not as the poor wife, but as the woman who methodically took down a major fraud scheme. I started consulting for Nexera in fraud prevention. Eventually, they hired me full-time in corporate security. The clueless wife was now literally being paid to teach professionals how to catch people like her ex. Poetic, isn't it? Here's the thing. Bradley thought power was about money, status, secrets. But real power, I learned, is information plus courage. It's the moment you stop asking, why would he do this to me? And start asking, what am I going to do about it? Exposing him wasn't just revenge. It was reclaiming my life, my intelligence, my voice. Sometimes the most devastating revenge isn't screaming or keying someone's car. It's calmly handing their entire web of lies to people who can and will do something about it. And walking away to build a better life without them. If you stuck with me to the end, thank you. If you've ever been gaslit, underestimated, or made to feel stupid on purpose, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where justice doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door in. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying, they underestimated me, moment you've ever had, or wish you could have. Until next time, remember, being kind doesn't mean being blind.